Hello there! This is Eline and Domien from Audio Epics. We're here today with a big announcement. Last Wednesday we gave a presentation at a local business meeting and there were some international guests there. And among them were some people from the audio drama community, despite the early hour, because it was an online breakfast meeting at 7 a.m. Central European Time. Karim Kromfli, who played Count Edelhard in The Beast of the Western Wilds, was there, and Canadian audio drama author Jack Ward. We had a great time and a nice chat after the meeting as well. But more importantly, during that presentation, we actually launched our Patreon page. That's right! We've thought long and hard about this, and we've been working on the tiers for a while. And of course, we know it's a work in progress, as your feedback might inspire us to change some things or add stuff. But you should know that this is a pretty important step for us and for the fans of Audio Epics. It means you get more opportunities, and it means we have made a commitment to our fans. As we've said before, we felt we could only do this if we could also offer our listeners enough content. We've now reached a point where we feel confident that we can produce a finished audio drama of at least 2 hours long every year. Now, this doesn't mean that we can do more than that, but this is the minimum we can promise. If our Patreon page does well, we will be able to do much more, of course. So with that in mind, we set up an extremely wide range of support tiers, which Domien will go over with you now.
Thank you, Eline. So this is our Patreon page. As you can see, the Audio Epics logo is featured very prominently. And then there's Ludlov, who watches over our 7 tiers, because, 7 Peaks has 7 towers, and we have 7 tiers. We decided to go for a lot of options, so many different ways to support us, ranging from $1 a month all the way up to $50. So, if you support us, what do you get? Well, we make the promise that we will be releasing at least one new story of at least 2 hours long every year. And with your support, that might grow even more. But this is, the bare minimum that we'll be able to do. And if you pledge to us an amount of $1 a month, you will get the following advantage. You will become a guardsman of 7 Peaks. And what that means is that you get access to our Patreon page, where you can take part in discussions and polls and see regular updates, teasers, trailers, snippets of productions, work in progress, and things like that. So you can follow the creative process, up close. And then there's the next tier, when you become a captain of the guard. And, as you can see, you get some feathers on your helmet. If you support us for $3, your name will be mentioned on our website, unless, of course, you prefer to be a secret supporter. And you will also receive the ebook version of all of our stories, on top of, access to our Patreon page. You'll also get the ebook version. And then at $5 a month, we get the Witch Hunter tier, which is where a lot of the really juicy rewards start to come in, because you will be able to listen to extra podcast content from this tier onward. That means that we intend to start making extended editions of our stories. Just like there was the Lord of the Rings extended edition DVD and Blu-ray version. We kind of want to do something similar for our stories, where you get an extended edition that, adds some extra scenes that, that maybe aren't as essential to the main plot, but that delve deeper into certain aspects that, bring out a bit of lore, perhaps a bit of background of a certain character. Scenes that, are interesting to the real fans. So we will make that available for the $5 a month listeners. And also, we'll start doing some extra podcast episodes of the storytelling podcast, interviews with other people, etc. On top of that, from $5 a month, you get an early release. That means, you get access to a new episode of the currently being released series 1 week in advance. And your name will also be mentioned at the end of the project in the end credits, with some nice music by Peter van Riet in the background. And it will also show up in all the descriptions of our podcast episodes and YouTube videos. Next up is the Witch Hunter Master tier. That's $10 a month. If you join us on Patreon for that amount, you will, of course, gain access to our Patreon page, get the ebooks, early releases and credits, extended edition, but you will also get the complete download of our new story before we start releasing it in episodes, so you can binge it all in one go. So what we intend to do is first create the entire story and polish it and make it, finished and ready, and then we start releasing it in episodes, one a week. For people who are at this tier, they will receive the full complete version in advance. This for every currently being released story for as long as they remain patrons. And then at $15 a month we arrive at the Grand General tier. At this level, you get even more. You get everything that the previous tiers got, but also downloads of all of our previous stories so far, everything that we've made. And an exclusive mug, that's right. If you remain subscribed for 3 months, you will get a nice looking mug with the Witch Hunter logo and a picture of Ludlov. That means you will be able to drink your tea or coffee with an Audio Epics Witch Hunter Ludlov mug. And then there's the Saint level at $25 a month. For that amount, we will make sure that your name actually turns up in one of our next projects in one way or another. That means there might be a town named after you, a character named after you. For example, if your name is Margaret, we might have a little town called Margaretville where our characters go and have an adventure. But that's of course not all. If you become our saint for at least 1 year, we solemnly engage ourselves to turn your own short story into a dramatized audio tale the Audio Epics way. That means we will realize it with music, sound effects, the whole shebang. This, of course, for a tale of, about 5,000 words. If you have written a 1,000-page fantasy epic, we won't be able to produce that, of course. And then finally, we have the Creator tier. As a fellow story and/or audiobook creator, we respect you tremendously, and we offer you all the available Patreon goodies and more. At least one of us will help you with your own writing or audio project during a monthly 1-hour online brainstorm session, so we will be giving feedback and ideas where you need them most. And we can help you out with your project, providing advice or even voiceover work. So we'll really start, working together at this point. This is, of course, the highest tier, but don't forget, you also get the exclusive mug. So I'd say don't hesitate and join us on Patreon. So you're probably wondering what projects we're working on, now that we've finally decided to launch this Patreon thing. Well, we've been talking about The Word of Wolfen in the past, and we're still doing that, of course. It's going to be the direct sequel to Witch Hunter. Although this will not necessarily be the first project that will launch. It is, after all, a huge story that will take a lot of time, as it will probably be at least as long as Witch Hunter, 13 hours, or more likely even longer. But if you are a fan of Witch Hunter, we also have another spin-off in mind. Like The Beast of the Western Wilds was a story that took Ludlov on an adventure outside of Seven Peaks. Well, there might be more things like that in the future. So, if you want to follow up on our creative process and you want to receive regular updates, then we invite you to become part of our Patreon community. And that's the idea. The idea really is to create a community there, get a sense of, a family vibe. And for just $1 a month, and if I'm not a total moron, that's, carry the one, $12 a year, you can join and get regular updates about the writing and production process, and it won't even buy half of us half a chai tea latte a month. But if a lot of people support us, we can actually create more content for you in these times when immersive stories are needed so much. We still have tons of ideas and outlines in various stages of development, and with your support we can focus on a number of these projects together and release them sooner. So now you know there's gonna be another audio epic out before the end of March 2022, unless we die. Or some other tragedy happens, but here's hoping that will not be the case. Creating these projects and, keeping our company afloat and raising a family all at the same time isn't always easy, but with your support we truly believe that, we can get there, and I think Patreon can be a huge boost to us. Our accountant believes in us too, and, having that kind of support, really sort of pushed us over the edge to make this decision, this step, to launch Patreon. So thank you, Nele, our accountant, for getting us this far. Thank you for listening, and we very much hope to welcome you in our Patreon community soon. Oh yeah, and we value and respect initiative very much, so we're gonna do something a little extra. The first person to claim his or her tier on Patreon, no matter which one it is welcome to have an hour-long video Q&A with us. And before we go, I want to remind you once more that you can find our Patreon at patreon.com/audioepics, all one word. We thank you for listening, and we really, really hope you'll help us to expand the settings of our current stories and make our characters grow. Their lives depend on you. This is Audio Epics, signing off.